Good morning, this is Rachel Bullock with the KCUF Book Review. This review is brought to you by the Trastero System. Don't let the government silence you. Now for the summary of the novel. Pynchon's famous novel, The Crying of Lot 49, first starts off with Oedipa Maas, a normal, everyday housewife, getting a letter stating that her ex-boyfriend, Pearson Verarity, passed away, and that she has been named the legal executor of his estate. With some reluctance, she informs her husband, Mucho Maas, a former car salesman and radio DJ, that she is leaving and heads off to San Narciso, where Pierce's headquarters were set up. When she arrives at a small motel in San Narciso, she runs into Metzger, a lawyer who was sent to help her in executing the estate. She then learns that executing the will would be much harder than anticipated, and that it would take a very long time to sort through and get done. After they become acquainted and start going through the estate, they go to a bar called The Scope, where they meet Mike Fallopian, a member of the extreme right-wing group Peter Penguin Society. Oedipa goes to the bathroom and sees a drawing of a muted post horn and the acronym WASTE on the stall. When she walks out and sees Mike, he mentions that he is studying the history of the American Postal Service and what caused it to become so monopolized. After checking out some more of Pierce's estate like Lake and Verarity, where it is revealed that Pierce bought human bones from a lake to use as charcoal for his company, both Metzger and Oedipa go to see a play called The Courier's Tragedy. In the fourth act, the word Trastero is said, and there is a mention of bones underneath the water being used as charcoal. When the play ends, she goes backstage and asks Driblet, the director of the play, about the bone significance and the importance of the Trastero. A few days later, when Oedipa is rereading the will, she notices the company Yoyodyne in it, and decides to visit. In the middle of a tour, she gets lost and comes across Stanley Kotex, who is sitting at his desk drawing the muted post horn. He tells her at this moment about a machine called the Nephastus machine, which theoretically violates the second law of thermodynamics. It is said to be able to sort molecules by temperature, organize them without using any energy, and only work with people that are sensitives. She copies down the number he had written under the post horn, figuring it as a WASTE address, and leaves. Oedipa goes to a bookstore to pick up a copy of Jacobean revenge plays, which contained the original play The Courier's Tragedy. She sees many annotations referencing a Berkeley publisher and decides to head there. On the way there, she meets a man named Mr. Thoth, whose grandfather was an Indian killer a long time ago and cut off a ring of one of the Indians he killed. Engraved in the ring is the post horn symbol. In a panic, Oedipa goes back to Mike Fallopian and questions him. Though he doesn't know what's going on, he has found connections between Indian killers and Wells Fargo. She then goes to Genghis, who was hired to go through Pierce's immense stamp collection, who tells her that he has found numerous stamps in the collection that have the muted post horn on it. He relates to her that the old postal company Thurn and Taxis had a similar mark for their company, but without the mute. Oedipa realizes that whatever group uses the post horn symbol, which she sees as being called the Trastero, must have wanted to silence the Thurn and Taxis company. She also realizes that she came across a major conspiracy. Oedipa stops by Nephastus's apartment to test out his machine to see if she is a sensitive. When she fails, Nephastus offers to have sex with her, and she flees. After piecing together what she knows, she wanders helplessly around the city, and afterwards starts to see the symbol everywhere she goes. On walls and alleys, in chalk on the sidewalks, and she feels she's so close, but just can't figure it out. She then runs into an old, sick sailor who needs help. He hands her a note and asks her to deliver it to the past love using the WASTE system. He tells her the address of the WASTE box, and shortly thereafter, she leaves. She goes to the location to deliver the letter, but takes advantage of the situation by waiting for the postman to collect the mail. She follows him for a full night until he eventually goes to Nephastus's apartment. After everything that she's found out, she decides to go home to her shrink, Dr. Hilarious. She finds him delusional, shooting at people from his office, and her husband strung out on LSD. She returns to San Narciso to continue her search and calls Professor Bortz, the one who wrote the annotations in The Courier's Tragedy. He reveals that Driblet recently killed himself, and then helps her piece together the rest of the history of the Trastero. As she gains these pieces of the puzzle, she finds out that all of the places that she got information from were owned by Pierce and Verarity, causing her to realize that it might have been a game made by Pierce to mess with her. Bortz tells Oedipa that there will be a member of the Trastero at an auction for Pierce's stamp collection, which is called Lot 49. Oedipa heads for the auction, hoping to question the Trastero member, and the novel ends with her waiting for the crying of Lot 49. And now over to Joshua Jaworski with the character sketches.